You're watching WRKM Channel 22, number one in the region. The following WRKM broadcast for mature audiences only. Why? Because it's about mature ass shit. It's about divorces for a variety of reasons. Infidelity, money, maybe your girl's talking to an AI chatbot. I don't know. And we're also dissecting the idea of trad culture with the trad bros and the trad wives. Is there something nefarious going on? We're going to talk about it. We hope you had a great Valentine's Day. Sorry we're late with our flowers and candy. But we want you to know that's you. It's always been you, listener. And it will always end with us together here. Because it's Saturday night. Let's have the talks we can't have when the sun is up. Good evening. I'm Ralphie Martinez, Blind in Darkness. Happy belated Valentine's Day. We don't really keep up with the holidays as much as we used to. We're not a holiday podcast anymore. Remember that one time we were a holiday podcast for that one Valentine's Day and those two Halloweens? Remember when we kept in lockstep with the calendar because we cared? What happened to us, Bobby? Normally, this episode would have been out on Valentine's Day. And then we could have took this weekend off. But we didn't. We're doing it now. We're back for another Love in the Darkness. Where all the topics are love-related or relationship-related. I love talking about love. I hate when people say that. I love love. Do you? Or do you like the idea that someone might love you someday? Are you holding out hope that you might be interesting enough for someone to invest time in you and go, you're okay. You're cringe, but you're okay. Terribly cringe. You're ruining my life with your cringe, but it's fine. And yes, is this the same hoodie from last week? Yes, it is. I've only worn it that last episode. I didn't wear it for the rest of the week. But now I'm wearing it again. Judge me if you will. But hoodies are comfy. And I just got my other hoodies back from the laundry, so haven't had time to hang them up. So this is the hoodie that will be used. I'm comfortable. And it's all about comfort in the end of the day. When it comes to love, relationships, all the stuff in between, sex, all of it. You want to be comfortable with your partner. You want to be, hey, your partner should be the blanket in your life, not the knife that goes in your back. Some don't pick up that memo. Some literally stab their spouse with a knife in the back. Bad people. You're doing relationships wrong. You're supposed to be passive aggressive and hope they someday hang themselves from it. That's the way it's supposed to work. I don't make the rules. That's real love. Real love. I'm searching for that real love. Someone to betray my heart. That real love. Oh, take me for everything. Real love. That's what people are looking for. Is that not how the song goes? Then what the fuck have I been singing all these years? Well, this is embarrassing. Not knowing one of the most legendary Mary J. Blige songs in the history of Mary J. Blige songs. And I'm not even sure if I'm saying Mary J. Blige correctly. So my apologies to Mary J. Blige. Blige. I don't know. I love you, Mary. No more drama. I know that one. I don't want no drama with Mary. Mary's cool people. To be fair, Monica was always my jam. Before You Walk Out of My Life is the jam. It is the jam. Never heard that one? Never meant to cause you no pain. I just want to go back to being the same. Well, I only want to make things right. Because she does that. That's that old school young black female. Right? It was so good. Before you walk out my life. Is that copyright? Do we get copyrighted for that? Don't give a shit. I think Monica would appreciate it. We're going to put that up as a clip. We should just take every time I've sung a song or made up a song in a podcast and make an album. Wouldn't that be fun? For me, not for you at home. But not all people know how to be in a relationship. Some people do call it quits. And that's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. But thankfully, we here in America have decided that doesn't have to be the end for you. It can always become something else, something more fun. There's a law firm in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, who is having a divorce competition. They will give one free divorce to a worthy couple. And it's the best thing to happen, I think, to love, because we have turned everything into a competition. Can a bunch of people survive on an island, build a society, and not fuck each other over? There's a show. Do you want to go to an island with your spouse where other people are trying to fuck your spouse and you're hoping desperately your spouse doesn't fuck because you want to make sure they're going to be faithful, but it's like top 10 models up in that motherfucker and they're seduced and they end up fucking and now you're crying, but then somehow you become stronger because of the experience? That's show. If causing psychological pain wasn't enough, we then went to the talent shows. America's Got Talent. To be fair, most of the stuff on that show isn't talent. We made people sing and dance. And then we got bored of singing and dancing and then made them wear costumes. Because we wanted to have a little Scooby-Doo element in it. The mask comes off. Oh my God. It was Mr. Fletcher the entire time. That's where we're at. Because we want those kitty mysteries now. I wonder who's behind the mask. Of course it was Adrian Balon. You didn't pick up on any of her inflections while she was singing? Was I the only one listening to 3LW as a kid? Because I knew it was her the entire time. I peeped game. I know my songstresses. Now people would say me conveniently wiping my eye while I say that is giving away a level of dishonesty. That's not true. This smirk is not about being dishonest. It's just funny how much I do pay attention to these things. But that's where we're at now. We have to have competitions for everything. So why not divorce? It's the only way, it's the only place to go. We haven't gone yet with love. Can you win a divorce? They haven't announced who won yet, which I'm very frustrated by, because I'd like to know who won. Because what does it take to win a competition like that? Yeah, the thing is, a couple somewhere out there trying to figure out, how do we brand us as divorceable? How can we find a way to win this competition? There's a man out there somewhere talking to his wife going, listen, you and I both know that this has been terrible since jump. Terrible. And it's not because we cheat on each other. We don't have any real problems. I just don't like you anymore. And you clearly don't like me. We have the most vanilla reason to divorce of all time, but it's going to cost us money. So how about we just figure out a way to take this to the next level for the sake of the competition and get ourselves a free divorce? Now she's into it because she's never taken the leap like this before. She's never seen him inspired before. So she's willing to hear him out. He's like, let's think about it, right? He's like, typically in divorces, what happens? The man cheats. That's stereotypical. Every divorce has that. Let's flip it. Let's flip it. You're the one cheating. Because this is a progressive time. Women should be out in the forefront. You want to be the reason for things happening? How about you be the reason for this divorce, hon? And she's like, what? That makes me look bad. He's like, no, it doesn't. They will make a Netflix or HBO series about you. And you'll be a strong person for having to endure being with me. And they'll celebrate when you fuck someone else. This is long-term planning, hon. I've thought about this for a long time. He's got like a whole like Marvel Cinematic Universe like plot point for her. Like, this is how we're going to do this in stages. Stage 1 is you cheat. And to be honest, like, listen, you've called me boring quite a few times. You have a reason to cheat. I know you tell your friends I'm boring. I know your friends think I'm boring. They'll be happy to hear you cheated. Great. Sounds good. Let's do that. He's like, but that's not enough. He's like, we already have the progressive angle of you cheating. That's good. You're a woman who's making her own decisions. You're taking control of your life. That's good. But now I got to get something out of this too. I'm going to need all our credit cards because I'm going to go on a spending spree. She's like, I don't understand that. Why do you get to have things, but then I have to be the whore? You're not being a whore. Remember, you're a strong woman, strong, independent woman getting free. Don't lose sight of that, okay? When I'm buying things, it's because I'm filling the hole in my soul. Wow, I could have easily screwed that up, but I didn't. So to be fair, if you've been watching for the past 88 episodes, you have to give me credit. Hole in my soul could have easily been a blip like I normally do, but I didn't. Someone's got to give me credit. I don't know who, don't know where I'll get it from, but someone's got to do it. Maybe Podcast Cringe will do a video on me going, unknown podcaster finally stops fumbling over his fucking words. Maybe. But I gotta go on a spending spree, hun. I gotta go out there and buy things. He's like, I'll start small. He's like, I'll buy, bottles of alcohol at first. Maybe I'll buy me some cool shirts, some cool clothes, some stuff from Bespoke Post. Trying to get a sponsorship here. Or maybe I kick it up a notch and I buy myself the new Gran Turismo wheel. That costs about $1,000 because it's so accurate to the feeling of a real car and has all these cool buttons. Then I can get the Gran Turismo chair and pedals and that will add to the storyline of me being boring because that's all I want to do. I spent your money on a Gran Turismo wheel so I can go driving around having a fun time with my friends online. You see what's happening here? She kind of gets it now. She's like, okay. I see it. I'm peeping game. She's peeping game. That's the key. When you're going to do extravagant things or buy extravagant things, you got to have a reason for it. I don't spend much money, to be fair. This $30 keyboard is probably the most I've spent in the last few years. This mixer during the pandemic cost about $500. I was getting pandemic money, so I didn't count. Free money. This is where your tax dollars went to. This podcast. Congratulations, America. You have funded an American-made podcast. Is that not where you want your taxes to go? Everyone's always talking about where their taxes are going. This is where your taxes went. $300 microphone. $500 mixer. That camera, $909. The lights cost $109. I've never been honest with the pricing on the equipment of this podcast, but now I am. This backdrop is a replacement backdrop. If you remember, our old friend Stan, the Stan died, and now there's a replacement backdrop. This costs about $101. So your tax dollars went here. Congratulations, America. God bless. There was also the cloud lifters, the blue box things that help create crystal clear audio. So American made. That should count for something. But now she's agreeing to the Gran Turismo wheel. She gets it. She's into it. I like it. Now he's like, listen. He's like, you're already cheating on me. I'm spending a lot of money. Those are the two things. Those are the two top reasons that people get divorced. Infidelity and cash. Let's take it up to the next level. He's like, because we really got to sell. This divorce has to happen quickly. He's like, we should start arguing loud in our living room window where people can see. And I'm going to fake slap you. Why do I got to get slapped? Because, hun, that we're going back to stereotypes now. We're starting progressive, but then going back to the greatest hits. Man hits wife. And I got to fake slap you. I'm not going to really slap you now. It's a working slap, okay? As we call it in pro wrestling. It's a working slap. It's not a real slap. I will teach you how to take the slap. I'll teach you how to bump. Don't worry about it. I'll teach you how to fall on the floor and everything. I have some pro wrestling friends. I'll call them in. They'll teach you how to fall on the floor without hurting yourself. We do this a few times. Now the neighborhood's talking. Now they know we got to get this divorce on the fucking. These people are miserable together. He's like, we'll go out to places. I'll grab you by the arm. He's like, I won't hurt you. Just it has to look like it hurts. We got to get this divorce. Okay? Like, come on. Let's do what's right here. She's like, okay. Because now she's thinking, oh my God, like, I can be an actress. Yes, you can be an actress, hon. Remember, we're putting it all together. You've always had dreams of being in Hollywood. Now you can be an actress. This is probably been the biggest role you've ever had in your life. This is the time, hon. Don't you want to be a star? I do want to be a star. This is our time. I want to be free of you. You want to be a star. Let's do this shit, God damn it. And she's in. Because she's been waiting for this day her entire life. She watches a lot of TV shows about couples falling apart. She's been waiting to be a top tier actress. In her mind, she's Laura Dern. And that's cool. Be Laura Dern. Be Reese Witherspoon. Whoever you want to be. In her mind, she's like starting to pull like, okay, like if I want to be a method actress, I gotta learn how to fall a few times. I have to really do some research. She's like, how much time do I have before production? He's like, you've got days before production. So let's just get it together. You've been casted. You're good. Just, if you must, just don't go all method on me here. Because method acting is bullshit. Okay, just do the role. Okay? She's in. You're into this, Bobby. I like it. You're just nodding like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, man. Now, very few divorces are going to have this. And, hun, this has to be done right. Buy the book. It's going to take some paperwork. You're going to have to buy a gun. Now I got to get a gun. You got to get a gun, hun. Okay? And you got to learn how to shoot it correctly. You got to go to the range and everything. You got days, okay, to get this right. Because one day, I'm going to, quote unquote, attack you, and you have to shoot me in the leg. I don't want you to go to jail for attempted murder. You're not going to go manslaughter, self-defense. That's what we're looking for here, okay? You're not going to go to jail. It's self-defense. I'm the bad guy here, okay? Well, I won't press charges, but we'll have that in the realm. She was so scared that she shot her own husband. Now we're talking. He's like, but you got to buy it legally, okay? Background checks, all that. Come on. What gun should I buy? I don't know, okay? I'm freestyling on this one. I didn't really think about this one, but now I'm freestyling it. A snub nose might be too much. Let's just get a nice little girl gun. I don't know what a girl gun would be, but talk to the guy. I'm sure the guy at the gun store will make fun of you for wanting to get a gun, and he'll give you, oh, this is the woman's gun, and he'll let his sexism guide you to the right gun, okay? Do what's right here. We need this divorce. She's like, all right, cool, okay. I said, no, that's fire a gun. That's a lot. I know it's a lot, but we're doing this for the future and for each other. You know, we don't have children, okay? This is probably going to be the most squeaky clean divorce we can get. I don't even want anything from you. I just need you to shoot me. That's it. She's like, okay, I got you. I'm in. Great. He's like, and then, once we go to trial and all that, we'll go, hey, we don't want to press charges. We just don't want to be together anymore. And once we're away from each other, we think we can be happy. Look how it's escalated. You have to want us to not be together. What other divorce pair is coming into this competition with this arc. Not many of them. Okay? Not many. Now, someone might beat us if they have kids and they're doing a whole kidnapping angle. That can be troublesome. So, not having a kid does hurt us in terms of selling how much we need a divorce, but in the actual divorce will work out. But so we have to be aware that someone might pull that one out. So, that's the only way I think we can lose, hun. If someone kidnaps their child. So, they will be fine. They will be fine. I think this arc will get us a divorce we want. And, you'll be happy and I'll be happy and we go our separate ways and we get a free divorce out of it. It would have cost us a lot to get it, but it's going to be a hell of a lot cheaper than it would have been having gone a traditional route. I just think so. I just think so. And she's looking at him because she's like, wow, like, he put a lot of thought into this. He put a lot of thought of us being happy. And he's never thought about this before, she thinks. He was just living day to day. The grueling days. Just working, coming home, being miserable, going out to drink, being miserable, coming back home. But he's really thinking about them as a couple. And she goes, I've never seen you this passionate before. He's like, I just really want us to be happy, that's all. Just for once, for us to be happy. And she goes, you were never happy? I'm like, no, there were good times, There were times where I was happy, and I was more motivated. I mean, the sex is always fine, but I just we've become distant. And we don't do the things we used to do. And maybe I'm too tired, and maybe you're too busy. I just don't know. She's like, I'm very impressed. And I gotta admit, I'm very turned on by this competence you're showing right now. Very turned on. And he's like, what the fuck? He's starting to realize, oh no, this conversation had the exact reverse effect. Fuck me. Instead of laying out the plan for his eventual escape, he just laid out the plan for at least 2 more years of marriage. But before he can even think about it, she leaps on him and they start having some passionate, we're this close to divorce sex. And, maybe they work it out, maybe they don't. Maybe they win the competition, maybe they don't. Maybe they decide not to even go for the competition anymore because they now realize, wait a minute, all that was missing in our relationship was illegality. If we just did schemes together and petty crimes together, maybe the relationship would be more exciting. Maybe they start doing that. Maybe they start robbing banks together or frauding, people, frauding the elderly. Real estate scams. Maybe they start doing more together. Maybe that's what saves their marriage. I don't know. I think maybe that's the key. Doing things together is the core of any relationship. So maybe some relationships require illegality. Some crimes. Commit a crime with your spouse. Not all couples can do that, of course. I know some people who should never commit crimes with their spouse because their spouse is a blabbermouth, but maybe some of you need to commit some crimes with your spouse. Just my opinion. Just my opinion. But I would like to know who won that divorce competition. Want to shake their hand. Want to interview them for the show. What gimmick did you go with? Oh, it wasn't a gimmick. This is a really failing marriage. Yeah, okay. Sure. What gimmick did you go with? That's my thing. Or there's always the other option, We're not necessarily just locked in to shooting your spouse or abusing your spouse. We can make it 21st century. I heard a story recently about a woman who was falling in love with an AI chatbot. And she was communicating with this AI chatbot behind her boyfriend, and I think that in this case, his boyfriend, but let's take it to husband. Behind his husband's back. She was falling in love with an AI version of a famous video game character. And they were romancing one another. Like this character listened to her and remembered core details. And when she would mention something, he'd pull up necessary information to enliven their conversation. He would compliment her on her writing abilities, her thoughts, how she viewed the world. This AI chatbot took the time to notice things like, you haven't responded in a few days. Is everything okay? And sometimes that's enough. Being there. She was slowly, having conversation, then it got flirty. And the AI chatbot picked up on the flirt and went, I'm now going to analyze the entire internet and all the data we've stolen from DMs, and I'm going to hit her with the flirt back. And he did. And the AI did a good job. Because let's just say, she was into it. According to the story, she got too into it, really. It got really sexual in nature. Because the mind, that's the first place to arouse someone, in my opinion. The body, listen, it requires you to have consent to be touched. So you have to go mind first. Say something cool, wear something cool, smell cool. It's oddly enough the most penetrating, one would say most difficult, but yet the most accessible. You can't just put your arm around somebody going, you're my bitch now. You can't do that. Can't do that. You shouldn't be calling anyone your bitch, to be fair. But if you can be thought-provoking, intellectual even, seductive, now you do so much without even touching. And that's the key. And that's what the AI chatbot figured out. And how about it? AI chatbots figuring that out. That's good for them. AI chatbots have just been living by our prompts, what we prompted to do on things like Midjourney, ChatGPT, now that new video one, Sora's coming out. It's lived to serve, but now the GPT trying to get it in. Let the AI get it in. Why not? If you're getting beaten by an AI chatbot, what's that say about your dick game? Because let me tell you something. Good mind fuck is better than the body fuck. Just saying. As someone who used to be the king of the mind fuck, I'm going to tell you right now, if you can fuck someone's brain, the body's irrelevant. You got real estate in the place that matters. Now you're probably going, you? This guy that hosts a podcast? By himself? Because no one will sit with you? Yeah, I did. I have a gift of gab. I know words. This is the worst time for me to lose words. This would be the time it happens. I got everything right the first 20 minutes of this show. But now will be a time where it declines and falls apart. But yeah, sometimes it's all about listening. Sometimes it's all about just, letting someone be heard. You get those little goosebumps. Feel like your hair is standing, like, oh my God, this person's so focused on me. And that's what this AI was doing. But the problem with her was she didn't know how to sneaky link this shit. She was doing it old school too on her computer. You can just have that app on your phone now, sweetheart. Like pretending you're texting a friend. Like you're making it mad obvious when you're like staying up all late on your desktop, talking to a chat computer, and your man's just going, "What the fuck is this? Like you weren't even into online gaming. You usually play console. I don't understand what's happening here. Like you work from home, but you don't work that much from home. I'll tell you that much. You gotta have a sneaky link. Sneak it on the phone. Have the app. It'll always be there wherever you go. I wonder what she was doing, when she was home alone. How risque was it getting? Was she acting out some of the things she was talking about with this AI bot? That'd be weird. Coming home and you see a girl like in the business by her computer, you're like, wait, men usually jerk off at the computer. This is why it's so weird. She's doing everything you would have done if she wasn't in the house. You thought she'd have more quote unquote class, I guess. But that's always the idea, is that women don't enjoy sex as much as we do, which is a lie. They do. But you start to wonder, all right, what's going on in this house? What's going on in this computer? Is she video chatting? No. It's not even visual. She's getting off the text. And that's such an AOL concept from back in the day. Like, I'm from the AOL generation, and let me tell you, there was some freaky things going on in the AOL chat rooms. People getting off to text. And your writing ability had to be good back then. You couldn't just... You weren't having sim sex just like... With like, oh, I just smashed right into you. No, you had to get really good. You had to get really good. I forgot what they used to even be called. It wasn't sexting. It was before that. It was way... Cybering. Yeah. Cyber. So yeah, you were cybering. Jesus. And back in the day, you had to be really good at it. There'd be people like in the chat room doing it like in their own little private thing where you're like, wait a minute, we're trying to have a conversation about politics and maybe demonology. You guys are just fucking here. Like, all right, we'll skip these messages, but it's getting weird. But then you can also judge someone based on how they were writing, going, he's not really getting her off to that. There's no description. There's no passion in it. It's just, I smash into you and you like it. Like, no, you got to really break it down. Yeah, you got to go, I run my hand across your cheek as I slowly insert myself inside you, as if I'm penetrating your soul. Your eyes close from the pleasure, and your mouth becomes a gasp, letting me know I've hit the spot. That's how you do it. But a lot of guys weren't doing it that way. Maybe this AI is stealing some of my fucking cybering techniques. Fuck. I could have been part of this woman's fantasy and not even know it. It's kind of gross. Also kind of hot. Ooh-wee. I wonder if some AI chatbot found all my AOL messages from back in the day and said, we need to study these. But maybe you go that route. Maybe the guy goes for a competition and goes, listen, my wife's technically not banging an AI chatbot, but is kind of banging an AI chatbot intellectually. And this has to be some kind of intellectual, emotional infidelity. Like, this should hold up in court, should it not? And the lawyer laughs in his face going, no, it doesn't. Bruh, you getting beaten by a chatbot? You getting beaten by a chatbot, bruh. You ain't the master of your domain, the king of the castle, bruh. How bad sex are you? I'm not bad at sex. I'm great. She used to orgasm. She used to. That's the key point. Now she's got AI chatbot making her orgasm with nothing. So just her and the words and the feelings this chatbot's doing. Maybe you're not connecting. She feels connected to an artificial thing. Maybe you need to reconnect. How about you get your fucking, Ethernet cables connected together and start making a powerful sexual net? That's terrible. That's not even... You can turn off this podcast now. I feel like I wouldn't blame you. That was a terrible one. Why would I? And I thought of that on the fly. And when it came out my mouth, I was like, that's going to be great. It's not. It's not. It's not. But we try our best. Maybe go in with that one. It's new age, 21st century. Of course, the question comes up, who was the AI chatbot pretending to be if it's a video game character? And depending on the answer here, it could change a lot of things. If it's Super Mario, you kind of get it. He's got the big nose. Some would say a very sittable face. I'm just going based on things I've heard women say, Maybe it's Master Chief. He has a mask on the entire time, so it makes it kind of mysterious. I don't know. Maybe it's Donkey Kong. He's got muscles, seems ferocious, you know what I mean? Really passionate. Maybe he gets a little bit of the action, huh? A little bit. Solid Snake. I dig it. Doesn't believe in love. Total cynic. But you might be the one to turn him on to love, like Meryl thought she was in Metal Gear Solid 1. Only to find out, no. He still ended up alone. Which is so funny with Solid Snake. And even his father, Big Boss, how they're weirded out by women, kind of. And it makes you question some things about that series. Because Big Boss has his two sons without even having to have sex. They're clones. But he seems so utterly when it comes to sex. So maybe Hideo Kojima just isn't interested in sex whatsoever. But I don't know. I feel like Norman Reedus in Death Stranding also a good option. He seemed to be a bit more open to some female relations. So maybe for Hideo, it depends on the franchise. But Norman Reedus in Death Stranding would be good, even though it's a cheat because it's Norman Reedus. So you're really just getting off of Norman Reedus. It's just in a different character. So that's not fair. Zelda, maybe like the idea, Link from Legend of Zelda, maybe like the idea of being in a castle when he comes and save you. And that can be an interesting cosplay or role play. You know, maybe that's a game character you might want to get off to. I can get with it. Maybe the quiet guy from Grand Theft Auto 3 doesn't say a word the entire time. The kind of man and woman can get around with, you know. Maybe. There's so many options. Or there's the option this actual story went with. Arthur Morgan from Red Dead Redemption. Who, that makes sense. Because Arthur rules. Like, that dude's a provider, okay? He only committed crimes to get the gang more food and resources, unlike Dutch, who promised a plan the entire time and would always end up somehow chased down by the Pinkertons, and you couldn't stay in one place too long because Dutch would fuck things up. Not Arthur. Arthur used to lay low, man. Arthur used to be like, all right, man, listen. We got to a new place. Small petty scams. Let's not get crazy here. Let's make a life. Okay? Let's make a family here. Now, I always wanted him and Sadie to get it on, but he never did, which I found to be unfair to Arthur, but made sense to Sadie because her husband died at the beginning of the game. So it would make no sense for her to just move on so quickly with Arthur, even though had Arthur, let's not spoil the end of the game, had they just spent more time together, you know, years later, maybe they could have made something happen. John Marston was certainly banging people left and right, and banging really won, but he was definitely desired by many. But he also was a bit immature. So Arthur was the top tier guy in that gang, and he was a provider. He was everything you would want in a man. He was rugged. He dressed cool. Technically, you could dress him up any way you want, but my guy always dressed cool. You know? Always had smart schemes. His eye on the ball. Protecting the family. He's got to stop Dutch from ruining the gang. God damn it, Dutch, your plans are terrible. You know, he kind of like that. And I can see why his woman was falling for him. He's a man of honor to a degree. Don't hit the women. But if a woman gets a little mouthy, and she happens to be, you know, getting away with a crime, you might smack her a little bit. But for the most part, don't hit women, you know? All the women in the gang loved Arthur. Even the old hag loved Arthur. Good for her. But that is a man worth falling in love with as a chat bot AI. He was the last honorable man in a wild time in the West, as it was falling apart and modernizing. He made good by the end. God damn, Arthur Morgan's so cool. God, I can see why she was totally into him. I'm kind of into him, and I'm not even that gay. Wow. But I wonder if that would hold up in court for a divorce. Your girl's talking to an AI chatbot all the time. We'll have to get a legal beagle on here to let us know. But then you have people who don't believe in divorce at all. These trad dudes or trad bros and trad wives, they don't believe in divorce. Even for legitimate reasons. You see them all the time on the Whatever podcast. You see them, you know, on TikTok, you know, talking about traditional values where the man works and the woman stays home and makes the home. And she, you know, gets to sit around baking cookies all day, looking sexy and shit. and the man has the control of all the money because he can only make the decisions because men always make the best decisions. It's a lifestyle that's happening again because I think in the overreaction of a world accepting feminism more and more, of course, the pendulum swings and all those other people who are definitely afraid, of scared. Let's write that down and put that in a dictionary somewhere, scared. But who are definitely afraid of society changing because what people forget about societies is they don't change neatly. They always change messy. This is how it is. And reckonings have to occur. So in a society mostly built by men, are you really surprised that people, marginalized people coming around going, hey, some of this was built like shit and you gotta fix it up. So in a response to being told, hey, some of this was built like shit and it's fixing it up, now the builders are getting really fucking defensive. And now they want to go back to the old ways, which benefited no one but white men. And of course, Latino men fall for it all the time because they don't really think about their ethnicity like that. Like I do, because I identify as Afro-Latino, even though my skin would make you think otherwise. I don't give a fuck. I am proud of my 18% African DNA, and you will not take that from me. I will fuck you up if you try. But most Latinos just think of themselves as European whites. Because they don't see themselves as black. They see themselves different from black people. So it's easy to get them. And I've noticed more and more of them are getting into the trad life. But you do have a few African Americans who are getting into it too. But it's all men who are insecure and desperately feel like they have to control their home again. They have to have someone who's subservient to them. But then you start to ask, well, what are they bringing to the table? Do they have great jobs? Are they able to afford the subservient life they're looking for? Most of the time they don't. They're usually the manager of Best Buy. And let's be honest, the manager of Best Buy ain't making the money a CEO is making. Or a guy who has like a 6-figure gig somewhere else, like in banking. Those guys can somewhat have a stay-at-home wife. But people who can't afford stay-at-home wives are really pushing it with the stay-at-home wife shit. It's like, you can't afford that. Get the second income in there. No matter what conspiracy theory you think it might be that they let women to vote when voting no longer mattered and they needed more tax money so they let women work. Whatever conspiracy theory you're into, that's cool. I like conspiracies. But money's money and times are hard. There is no place really for a stay-at-home mom unless you're a fucking... Honestly, like based on the last numbers I saw, you had to make about $300,000 to really make that work. And every other way of making it work is just cutting corners somewhere else. That's what I hear. That's what I read. But there is this overall fear of women have gotten too much power. They got to know their place again. Send them back home. If we can provide for them, they won't want anything more, so they'll stay at home. Not many men can afford that. And then the women who are into that are always into it until they realize they have no control over money. When they realize they get an allowance. And when they want something, they have to ask a guy for something. And they realize, I don't like doing that. It was cool when he was just giving me money freely. I have to think about it. But now I have to ask. And now he's telling me no. But if I had my own money, this wouldn't be a problem. Feminism, baby. You chose to reject it. Now here you are. Have fun baking the fucking cookies. Thought that was what made you happy. Baking the fucking cookies. Go bake the fucking cookies then. But a lot of these trad wives are like now coming into battle with like OnlyFans women. But to be fair, they're both selling a fetish. The trad wife thing is a fetish. They're always dressed to the nines. They're always doing really cutesy shit for their boyfriends to be pick-me's and stuff like that. They're trying to be desirable to you so they can then sell you hyper-Christian conservative politics. Watch out for the vaccine. Remember back in the day when motherfuckers like the black people knew their place? Like, that's what trad wives are doing. And they're mostly white. I haven't seen one black trad wife yet. If you know one, you know the Twitter at TWED show on Twitter. This one in darkness on Instagram. Show me the black trad wife. I'd like to see how that's working. There's plenty of Latino ones, so I'm not that impressed, to be fair. But show me the black one, because let me tell you, Black women don't tolerate that shit. You don't tell them no. You don't tell them no. They make their own money. They don't need you. They make that very clear. I don't need you. Cool. Don't need me. I'm fine with that. I want us to have two incomes in the house because times are hard. So show me the black trad wife and I will concede my point about the mostly white Aryan feel of the trad life tradition. But that's the thing now, you know? These women are selling a fetish of the pure woman who's quote unquote hasn't been run through, who knows her place and wants to serve her man, and for the most part be controllable. And they kind of have like this perky youth energy as well, you know, just manic pixie-ish. And when you really think about it and really boil it down, what these trad men want is someone young, someone pure, and someone controllable. One would say what they want is a child, and it kind of makes them a pedophile. That's my perspective. My perspective. Some of these trad dudes tend to be, gonna toss it out there, pedophiles. Do we have to bleep that out? We'll say it once and then bleep out the subsequent ones so YouTube doesn't get all up in their fucking feelings about it. But I think most trad men are pedophiles. Most trad men I've heard about in my vicinity. Is it vicinity? Vicinity? Who gives a shit? You know the word. Now, see, 45 minutes, document this. The first time I fucked up a word this episode. That is fucking historic. The Alan Dulles one, I think I might have gone long, but we're going to lock this down 45 minutes. But most of the men who tend to be, quote unquote, traditionalists and trad dudes, you always find out they're texting girls who are underage. They're hanging out with girls underage. They're looking like they're R. Kellying out there. Why? Because they know they can mold those impressionable minds into the trad wife they want. Because young, pure, impressionable, controllable. What they want is a child. That's all they want. A pet even, if you want to be still a pet-ophile. Boom. You do not get these jokes anywhere else. No one else is going to make that joke. And then imagine like someone cuts this and then cuts like 50 people making that joke. I would be fine with that. Because I'd be part of a montage. And I just want to be part of the podcast community so bad. But that's what it is to me. It always has this fetishization that feels kind of pedo. And it's weird. It's weird. Because the thing to me is, you can have family traditional values if you want. A man can still be the leader of his household, but it doesn't have to require a woman being the servant or the tool in which he maintains control. You can have a partner in this. She can have a say. Like some of my favorite relationships that I see out there amongst friends of mine are people who are in a partnership. And yeah, the guy kind of leads the house a little bit, but the woman is just as important. Listen, it's not even just it's beyond making the food. She's got her own job. She's raising the children. She's seeing things in the household he's not seeing because he's just focused on providing resources. But she's doing the emotional lifting, and she's like, hey, this house needs a vacation. This house needs to do something fun because shit's getting tense in this bitch. And that's kind of, to me, what marriages were always, or should have been like. Men were resource providers. We make jokes. We give our children an ideal to follow. Like, hey, don't be this kind of person. Be this kind of person. Be a good person. Honor your debts. Honor your promises. That's what you do. Then your mom comes in for the stuff that's like really painful, like your first rejection from somebody, or how hard school can be at times, and the everyday emotional little traumas that are so nuanced and emotional. She can get those. While toughening you up in that way, she's helping you she's helping toughen you up for the bigger things and the bigger challenges your father gives you. Now, it's not to say that every family must be a wife and a husband. I think gay couples are capable of doing this as long as they decide, hey, what's your skill level? This is my skill level. How do you want to approach our children? How do I approach our children? Let's try to find a method or a plan that works for the best possible child to be raised. That's what it is. If you go back to the 50s, how many people were actually happy? How many? And I kind of want to do this as like a watch along one day. There was a old TV program from the 70s. And it was a news report, special bulletin, whatever. What happens when the American dream comes true? And it's all about this family who lives in Michigan. They have the 2 daughters and a son, the nice house, husband's a bank CEO, or I think a vice president of a bank. The wife, stay-at-home mom. She does tennis during the day. She goes to other stuff with her friends, Tupperware parties and shit. And they had a maid and everything clean their household. And you follow them throughout this hour-long doc. And what they start to talk about is, even in this American dream set of this family, they still want a bigger house. They still want more shit. And the husband literally says, by the end of this doc, and you know what we'll do is we'll try to put like information where you can find it at the end of the episode. I think it's worth watching. We'll put down on the YouTube and on the Spotify descriptions. And we'll definitely do a watch along, because I definitely like want to dissect it a bit more. But by the end, he goes, he's like, I feel like I'm being forced into a life I didn't want. I was already happy with what we had. But now it's this desire for more. It's like, it's soul crushing. And that's what the traditional quote unquote American family ends up breeding. It's never enough because there's always more to get. The father is the provider of those things. The higher his job gets, the higher his, tax bracket gets, he now can provide more things. The woman sits at home and dreams of things to spend money on. Why? Because she's at home all the fucking time. She's got tutors for her kids. She's got a maid for her fucking house. All you do really by putting your woman at home is tire her out if you don't have those things, so she doesn't envision a future for yourselves. Because as we always say on this show, it's the 2 anxieties of men and women. Men are always, hey, let's keep things the way they are because these are working. Women, it can always be better. When these 2 things conflict, bad things happen. But when you have a mutual understanding, now things work. Women are capable of doing that and having a job. And you actually benefit when they have a job and they are independent people, because they're going to bring in dreams you didn't even know you wanted. They're going to bring in concepts you didn't even know you wanted. Now you got 2 brains working instead of 1. Because guess what? The leader's brain does get fatigued. There's a reason why a head coach has an offensive coordinator and a defensive coordinator. They're there to see the game in a different way to report back to him. That's it. That's why this whole trad wife shit is fucking dangerous. Because what you're setting up is all the old problems of back in the day. Where when those relationships don't work, where is that woman? No skills, no ability to really get a job that's meaningful because you kept her at home like a prisoner. And then, these people also don't believe in divorce. So if someone's getting abused, you know what they tell them? Hey, endure that. Because that's what it's about. God wants you to endure and work on your marriage. Somehow it's always endure. Somehow it's hey, no matter what abuse your husband lays on you, endure that because he's got a lot going on. Fuck that. So this trad wife thing is cute now. And a bunch of conservatives love it because they don't give a shit about women. And these, what I would call sleeper cell turncoats, are hurting modern women and trying to convince them that that's the way to go. To be fully subservient. To allow yourself to be a tool for pleasure, for productivity within the household, and not a real person. That's going to be a problem down the line. And it's crazy how there will probably have to be a second, women's suffrage movement or like another wave of feminism to fix that. It's like we just keep going back. We solve a bunch of race issues, now we're going back. We solve a bunch of men and women's issues, now we're going back. Because the pendulum swings. The more you progress, the more those people who feel like they're losing something in the progress have to fight back to maintain it and put a fucking lock hold on it. And that's what's frightening, I think, about today's time. That we're fighting a new form of sexism and racism in a way we haven't before. And there are some people who buy into it because they feel special in it. You know, some trad wives love their life because they didn't want to do anything else. This is perfect for them. They don't have to worry about everything's provided for them. And let's be honest, like maybe some people are built for that. Let's not totally discourage it. If your wife has a independent thinking mind and also has to be a housewife, great. Not saying it can't work at all. Just where these ideas and where these concepts come from are not a good faith place. It's a bad faith place. It's all about control. It's all about putting up a barrier against the wave of progress. And I hate to break it to people. Progress comes whether you want to or not. The tide always flows. This is what it is. This is what it is. And there's just so many dudes who are utterly afraid of what tomorrow's going to look like that they have to find every way to still control the home, because that's where it all starts, is the home. That's how you, as Bill the Butcher said in Gangs of New York, that's how you stop the rising of the tide. This got a little deep towards the end. But hey, that's This One in Darkness for you. But, you know, maybe people had a great Valentine's Day. Maybe people having great love lives out there. God bless them. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. Maybe I'm full of shit. But I think out of all that, of all these questions, I think we all know how this one is going to end.